The mirror in the hallway was antique, framed in dark oak, with a slight bevel at the edge. For the last 4 years, Celeste M. Everson had avoided looking into it. When she walked past it, she kept her head down, focused on the laundry basket in her arms or the stack of mail in her hand. On the rare occasions she did catch her reflection, she saw a ghost. A woman in shapeless grey cardigans. A woman with hair pulled back into a severe utilitarian bun. A woman who apologized to furniture when she bumped into it. At 68, Celeste had accepted the narrative given to her by society and enforced by her son-in-law, Derek. She was the help. She was the grandma. She was the background noise in the movie of their lives. It was a Tuesday evening when the narrative shattered. Celeste was sitting in her green velvet armchair, the only piece of furniture she was allowed to occupy without critique. She was watching the evening news, a ritual she cherished. The volume was low. Her coffee was hot. The front door banged open. The house shuddered. Derek walked in. He didn't say hello. He never said hello. He walked past her as if she were a floor lamp. He threw his keys on the counter and marched to the television. He picked up the remote and pressed the power button. The screen went black. The Grand Hyatt was a world away from the stale air of her living room. The lobby smelled of white tea and money. The floors were polished marble. The people walked with purpose. Celeste checked in. The concierge, a young man named David, smiled at her. "Welcome, Mrs. Everson. Staying with us for business or pleasure?" Celeste looked at her reflection in the brass counter. "Business," she said. "The business of reconstruction." Up in her room, Celeste ordered room service, a steak, medium rare, a glass of Cabernet. She hadn't eaten red meat in 3 years because Derek didn't like the smell of it cooking in the house. She ate slowly, savoring every bite. She sat by the window, looking out at the city skyline. She picked up her phone. She had 12 missed calls from Lena. 3 texts from Derek asking where dinner was. She powered the phone off. She needed a plan. But before she could execute a plan, she needed a uniform. You cannot go to war in a cardigan that smells of fabric softener and submission. She took out the hotel notepad and a heavy pen. She wrote a header at the top of the page. The Glow-Up Protocol. Legal. Evict the parasites. Financial. Cut the supply lines. Physical. Armor up. Mental. No apologies. She slept that night in the center of the king-sized bed, her limbs stretched out like a starfish. For the first time in years, she didn't wake up with back pain. The next morning, Celeste didn't go to the lawyer first. She went to the department store. Not the discount outlet where she bought Lena's clothes. She went to the flagship luxury store downtown, the one with the doorman and the piano player in the atrium. She walked into the personal shopping department. A woman named Jenna, impeccable in a black suit, approached her. "Good morning, madam. How can I help you today?" Usually, Celeste would have mumbled that she was just looking. Today, she stood straight. "I need a rebrand," Celeste said clearly. "I have spent the last 4 years making myself small. Today, I need clothes that take up space." Jenna's eyes lit up. "What is the occasion?" "I am evicting my son-in-law and reclaiming my life. I need to look like the CEO of my own existence. I need boss lady energy. No pastels, no elastic waistbands. I want structure. I want silk. I want leather." "Say no more," Jenna said. For the next 3 hours, Celeste stood in front of a 3-way mirror. She tried on a pair of midnight blue Italian wool trousers. They were high-waisted and tailored perfectly. When she buttoned them, she felt her posture correct itself. She tried on a silk blouse in a shade of ivory that made her silver hair look like platinum, not grey. Then the blazer. Jenna brought out a beige linen blazer with sharp lapels and gold buttons. Celeste slipped her arms into it. It hugged her shoulders. It nipped in at the waist. She looked in the mirror. The woman looking back wasn't Grandma. She was a force of nature. She looked like a woman who signed checks, not one who waited for an allowance. Shoes, Celeste said. She bought leather pumps with a 3-inch heel. Not comfortable walking shoes, strutting shoes. The kind that made a sharp click-clack sound on tile. The sound of arrival. She went to the salon next. "Cut it," she told the stylist. "It's heavy. It's pulling me down." The stylist cut her hair into a chic, textured pixie cut. She swept the hair back, revealing Celeste's cheekbones and jawline, features that had been hidden for a decade. She applied a bold red lipstick. When Celeste walked out of the mall at 1 p.m., she caught her reflection in a shop window and didn't recognize herself. She looked dangerous. She looked expensive. She took a selfie. She turned her phone on. The messages flooded in. Lena. "Mom, where are you?" Derek. "The internet is down. Did you pay the bill?" Lena. "Derek is freaking out. Please come home." Celeste didn't reply. She sent the selfie to her lawyer, Andrew V. Sterling, with a caption, "I'm ready." Celeste walked into Andrew Sterling's law office at 2 p.m. The receptionist, who usually gave her a pitying smile, sat up straighter. "Mrs. Everson? Wow, you look incredible." "I feel incredible, Susan. Is Andrew ready?" Andrew walked out of his office and stopped in his tracks. "Celeste? You look like you're about to launch a hostile takeover." "I am," Celeste said, placing her designer handbag on the conference table. "I want to initiate the eviction proceedings, but I want to do it differently. I don't want to just serve them papers. I want to shut down the infrastructure." "Go on," Andrew said, taking notes. "I want to sever the financial umbilical cord," Celeste said. "I currently pay for the fiber optic internet, the cable package with 500 channels, the landscaping, the grocery delivery, and the supplementary credit card Lena uses." "We can cancel those," Andrew nodded. "Not cancel," Celeste corrected. "Suspend. I want the lights to stay on, but the luxuries to go dark. Today, right now." "That will cause chaos," Andrew warned. "That is the point," Celeste said. "Derek thrives on comfort. He rules that house because I make it a palace for him. If the palace becomes a cave, the king will lose his power." "Very well," Andrew smiled. "I'll have Roman, my associate, handle the calls. And the eviction notice?" "Serve it tomorrow," Celeste said, "at 10 a.m. I want them to have one night of darkness first." Celeste spent the rest of the afternoon at a spa. She got a facial. She got a manicure, blood red, to match her lips. At 6 p.m., she sat in a bistro, eating oysters and drinking champagne. Her phone buzzed. "Derek. The TV isn't working. The Wi-Fi is gone. What did you do?" Lena. "Mom, the credit card was declined at Whole Foods. I had to leave the cart. It was humiliating." Celeste typed a reply to Lena. "Humiliation is a choice, darling. You chose to depend on a card that isn't yours. I suggest you use your own." She put the phone down. She felt a twinge of guilt, the old Celeste trying to break through. A mother shouldn't let her child suffer. But then she remembered the old woman comment. She remembered Lena's silence. "I am not making her suffer," Celeste thought. "I am teaching her how to survive. I am forcing her to grow up." The next morning, Celeste arrived at the law office at 9:45 a.m. She wore the beige blazer. She wore the heels. Derek and Lena arrived at 10 a.m. They looked disheveled. Derek was wearing sweatpants and a wrinkled t-shirt. Lena looked like she hadn't slept. When they walked into the conference room and saw Celeste, they stopped. "Mom?" Lena whispered. "You cut your hair." "I cut a lot of dead weight," Celeste said coolly. "Sit down." Derek slumped into a chair. "Look, Celeste, I don't know what kind of midlife crisis you're having with the hair and the clothes, but you can't just cut off the internet. I have work to do." "You don't have work, Derek," Celeste said. "You have hobbies. Work pays bills. Hobbies cost money." "I am an entrepreneur," Derek shouted. "Lower your voice," Celeste said. She didn't shout back. She spoke with the quiet, terrifying authority of a CEO. "You are in a place of business. Act like it." Andrew Sterling slid a document across the table. "This is a notice to quit," Andrew said. "You have 30 days to vacate the property." Derek laughed nervously. "You can't do that. We have rights, squatters' rights." "You are not squatters," Celeste said. "You are guests who have overstayed your welcome by 4 years. And as for rights, I checked the accounts, Derek." She signaled to Andrew. He slid a second folder across the table. "This is an audit of the household spending," Celeste said. "The $100,000 I gave you to invest for Lena's future home? Gone. DraftKings, crypto, sneakers, $12 water bottles." Lena grabbed the folder. She flipped through the pages. Her eyes widened. "You spent $4,000 on skins for a video game?" Lena asked, her voice trembling. "It's an asset," Derek argued. "Digital assets are the future." "It is a picture of a gun in a game, Derek," Lena screamed. "We are homeless and you bought digital guns?" Celeste sat back and watched. For 4 years she had been the buffer between them. She had absorbed the financial blows so they wouldn't have to fight. She had protected Lena from the reality of Derek's incompetence. Now she stepped aside. "You have 30 days, Celeste repeated. "During that time, the internet remains off. The credit cards remain frozen. You will live in the reality you can afford." "I'm not leaving." Derek crossed his arms. "I'll make your life hell. I'll scream all night. I'll play music." Celeste leaned forward. She rested her chin on her manicured hand. "Derek, look at me. Do I look like the woman you yelled at on Tuesday?" Derek looked. He saw the sharp hair, the expensive blazer, the cold, hard eyes. He swallowed. "If you scream," Celeste said, "I will call the police and file for a restraining order. If you break a single plate, I will sue you for damages. If you refuse to leave on day 30, the sheriff will escort you out. I have the resources, I have the time, and frankly, I'm enjoying this." "You've changed," Derek whispered. "You're mean." "I am not mean," Celeste said, standing up. "I am effective. Meeting adjourned." She walked out of the room. The click-clack of her heels echoed like gunshots in the hallway. The 30 days passed. Celeste stayed at the Hyatt. She went to art galleries. She joined a wine-tasting club. She started reading biographies of queens and empresses. On day 30, Roman, the junior lawyer, handled the key exchange. Celeste drove to the house at 5 p.m. She walked in. The house was empty. It felt huge. It smelled of Derek. stale energy drinks and negligence. There were scuff marks on the walls. The carpet in the guest room was stained. But it was hers. She didn't just clean it, she purged it. She hired a crew to rip out the carpets and refinish the hardwood floors underneath. She hired painters. "What color for the living room?" the painter asked. "Beige? Grey?" "No," Celeste said. "Peach. Warm, vibrant peach. Like a sunrise." She bought new furniture. She replaced the saggy sofa with a sleek, modern sectional. She bought abstract art. She filled the house with plants, big leafy monsteras and fiddle-leaf figs. Life. She wanted life in every corner. She turned the gaming room, Derek's lair, into her office. She bought a mahogany desk. She framed the deed of title and hung it on the wall behind her chair. A week later, Lena knocked on the door. Celeste opened it. She was wearing a silk caftan, holding a glass of iced tea. "Mum," Lena said. She looked tired, but she was holding a set of keys, apartment keys. "I rented a studio. It's tiny. It's in a bad neighborhood, but it's mine." "And Derek?" Celeste asked. "He's staying on his friend's couch. He wanted me to come with him. He said we could build again." "And what did you say?" "I said I was done building his castles with my bricks," Lena said. She looked at Celeste. "You look amazing, Mum. You look like you glow." "It's the lack of stress," Celeste smiled. "Come in, but wipe your feet. The floors are new." They sat in the peach-colored living room. "I'm sorry," Lena said, tearing up. "I'm sorry I didn't stand up for you. I was so afraid of him leaving me that I let him erase you." "You didn't erase me, Lena," Celeste said. "I let myself fade. I stopped demanding to be seen. I won't make that mistake again." Can I stay here, just for a few days, until I get my furniture?" Celeste looked at her daughter. The old Celeste would have said yes. The old Celeste would have given her the master bedroom and slept on the couch. "No," Celeste said. Lena blinked. "No? You need to do this, Lena. You need to sleep in your empty studio. You need to figure out your own internet bill. You need to learn that you can survive alone. If I let you stay, I am robbing you of your own glow-up." Lena was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded. "You're right. It sucks. But you're right. But," Celeste added, "you can come for dinner every Wednesday. I'm starting a club." 6 months later. The peach living room was filled with laughter. It was Wednesday at 4 p.m. Celeste sat in her green armchair, now reupholstered in a rich emerald silk. Around her sat 4 other women. There was Betty from next door, whose son was trying to pressure her into signing over her house. There was Zoe, a 40-year-old divorcee who was afraid to check her bank account. There was Olga, who had been silenced by her husband for decades. And there was Lena. "Okay, meeting is in session," Celeste said, tapping a crystal glass with a silver spoon. "The topic today is the power of the no." Betty raised her hand. "My son called again. He said I'm being selfish for not selling the house to fund his business." "And what is the script?" Celeste asked. The women recited it in unison, a chorus of new-found power. "I am not a bank. My assets are for my comfort. I love you, but the answer is no." "Excellent," Celeste beamed. "Zoe, did you open the bank statement?" "I did," Zoe said, smiling. "I have $400 more than I thought. I bought a new dress." Boss move, Celeste nodded. Lena spoke up. I got a promotion, the logistics manager. I negotiated a 15% raise. I used the silence tactic you taught me, Mum. I just stated my price and then shut up. And they gave it to me. That is my girl, Celeste said, pride swelling in her chest. The doorbell rang. It was the pizza delivery. Celeste stood up to get it. She caught her reflection in the hallway mirror, the one she used to avoid. She saw a woman in tailored trousers and a silk blouse. She saw a woman with bright eyes and a strong spine. She saw a woman who was loved, respected, and feared in equal measure. She opened the door. The delivery driver was a young man. Pizza for Celeste? That's Ms. Everson to you, she winked, handing him a generous tip. She walked back into the living room, placing the pizza on the table. Eat up, ladies, Celeste said. We need our strength. We have empires to run. She sat back in her chair. She picked up the remote. Music or news? She asked the room. Music! They shouted. Celeste pressed the button. Up 1 notch. Up 2. Exactly as loud as she wanted it. She wasn't just the landlord of the house anymore. She was the landlord of her destiny. And business was booming.